stop what you're doing because it's our favourite time of week, Title Tuesday, online chess, and this game is clutch. These are the opening moves of the battle here between Anish Giri with white, Hans Niemann with black, and they're playing for all the marbles. The final round of early Title Tuesday, 16th of April. This is a cracker, clutch chess. So we've got a Sicilian with reverse. Hans working hard on this opening. Now knight f3. The four horsemen of the apocalypse gallop into the game. We get d3 from Giri. He jumps up, does the splits live on camera because this is apparently the flexible line of the English opening. These guys at chess.com just trolling with us on these opening names, I swear. So d5 from Hans. He fights for the centre, knight recaptures, and now g3, preparing to fianchetto the rook. Knight takes, always capture towards the centre with your pawns, especially when you're forced to. Bishop d6 looks weird, just a big pawn staring at its own pawn here, but if d4 ever comes, you liberate. Plus it adds some protection. Maybe you go e4 one day, then again you're freed up. Bishop g2, in a strange way of playing, Giri fianchettos his bishop, not his rook. Just kidding, that's the way to go. Both players castle and h6. A classic preparatory move, potentially looking for f5 in the future. Knight d2 now from Giri. The bishop on g2, free at last. It's alive, cackles Giri, in a kind of Frankenstein manner. Bonus points if you can name how Mary Shelley, author of Frankenstein, got the idea for that short novel. Now we see bishop e6, very natural, and if in doubt, chuck your rook's pawn down the board, plough it down there, rook e8, just keep going, your opponent will think you're a madman, and this is classic computer versus human chess. You've got to understand positional ideas, stop staring at the engine lines blindly, right? Because engine top line will tell you queen d7, allow pawn a6, and then goes b5 here. Who the hell plays like this? No one. Your light squares are horrendous, your pawn looks weird, yuck. So what you do instead is a6. This is the normal way to play. Stop the advance. Don't let your light squares get broken down here. And now some kind of queen activation, the order of the day. Or knight e4. But knight c4 played, allowing this capture. What's Giri up to here? This is the kind of pawn structure now that just makes you pull this face. Why has he done this to his position? Who knows? Because Hans is just better now. e4, cracking on, blocking out the sniper on g2. Now queen c2 comes, pawn pressured, defended, and this sets up a nice battery, controlling c5, which is eternally weak. Bishop e3 played, and now a mistake from Hans Niemann. He should just do something like rook a d8, standard kind of move, or bishop c5 or king h8, but he plays queen e6, immediately targeting the pawn, but allowing it to progress down the board to c5, bishop backpedaling, rook fb1 played. Hans is big time under fire now. Giri with the initiative, the pawn on b7 covered, and this is a classy move. Queen to a2, offering this exchange of the ladies here, and it's hard to avoid. If you go full oasis and slide away, well, the problem is the white queen activates very powerfully. Pawn pressured here, no time for knight e5 or the pawn drops once you block the rook. Meantime, rooks are doubling, pressure down here, not ideal. So the ladies leave the board, rook recaptures, these ones doubling very fast. f5 now played, bishop d4 hitting the centre. If you capture with the knight, will you help repair some structure here, even though you gain the bishop pair, and now something really strange happens, because Hans does pick up his knight on c6 and move it, but not before a long think. Now rumour has it the doorbell went just at this moment. Amazon delivery, Hans runs off, Who knows what's in the package, right? Doesn't even have a misses. It's a mystery, but he finally gets his package, steps back to his desk here, plays the move knight a7. He's lost a minute on the clock. That's huge. That's a third of his time. He's headed for b5, but Giri now with the big time advantage. f5 pressured, covered by g6. g4 looks to undermine. What does Hans do? Well, he cracks on here with f4, but loses another 20 seconds. Giri with a huge advantage. e3 now played. Cemento, as Peter Lecco would say. I believe a reference to cement. There's nothing cemento about Lecco's dance moves. They're out of this world good, but he loves a cemento bishop on d4. We get f3 now played, because obviously suffocate that white king, right? Strangulate the monarch till he's good and dead and the crown slips from his head. Okay, maybe getting carried away, but that's a nice binding move. This bishop sliding back, looking to activate, very natural, and now c6 prepares knight b5. Rook a b2, and here comes that noble steed. What a piece, supported by this lovely camel toe pawn formation. And now this looks strange to start with, but then we see the idea. First the check, king h7, and now bishop takes on b5, something you might not expect when that bishop was an absolute unopposed monster. But if you didn't chop that knight, you had 10 points of firepower barreling down on one 3-point knight and going nowhere. So this now allows c4, and Giri's moves flow very naturally off the wrist. Now we see rook c8 played, going after this pawn. Good move. If you'd captured on the move before, by the way, well, this crashes. Even c6 was coming, using the pin down here. So now, at least after takes, Hans gets some counterplay with the c5 pawn dropping. We see takes on a6. The best move was takes on d4, but look at Niemann's clock. He's got 4 seconds left. They do get a second back per move. That's called increment, but still a minute down is huge. This is move 31 of 74. Don't go anywhere. We see takes on a6. Not so precise, but played. Not so precise. Bishop takes on d4 better. Now the check chucked in. King g8 back. Look at this for a check, using this bishop as a windmill. King f8 played. You don't want to step into the discovery, of course. Now this pawn drops. This is turning into a mop-up job on the foot soldiers here, aka the pawns, but Hans invades with just a glimmer of hope because of the pressure around the white king. We see rook takes on h6, king g7, and now the most natural move in the world is not actually the best. Giri takes the pawn. He should double these rooks. And the idea is, if this one, to support this checkmating idea, you've got all this stuff going on, well, then you can check. And if the king steps up, it actually gets mated in this kind of incredible weaved net. And if you go backwards here, then you see the rooks leaving the board like this. If you check, you get this kind of line. Okay, long line, right? But this is why actually connecting the two rooks was better than chopping a pawn. Pawn chopped, however, allowing Niemann to double these rooks, then threaten the mate stuff, and it's very hard to avoid, because if you ever go h4, you still swap the rooks, and e3 comes really fast. You start forcing through one of these pawns. But e3 played immediately by Niemann. Look at the evaluation bar, shoots back up, having a coronary, because now you can take here, and white's completely winning. Niemann finds the idea, but in the wrong move order. h3 from Giri, check. The king comes to h1. This rook comes all the way back. And now, if you want to win this position, you can't play what Giri does, which is pawn to g5. Instead, the right move is this. It's such tricky stuff, but this is the basic idea. If you go to f8 with the king, then we check, pick up the pawn. So king here, of course, but now this is a lovely switchback. instead of threatening mates on the 7th and 8th ranks, you threaten it on the files now, G and H. So king steps up, but now the rook switches back. F pawn dropping, second rook coming. Look how many white pawns, are ahead for the white player. Just incredible lines, but missed. G5 played, allowing this check. Rook's leaving the board, and the big problem is that now the F pawn's running. You can just get back in time. This was the point of G5, support rook F6, but look at this for a position. The rook leaves the board. Niemann, one wolf against 5 sheep. Can the shepherd, aka the king, get one of them down? I used to play this game growing up, right? One of you's got a rook, one of you's got 8 pawns. Can you get your pawns to the end before they all get eaten? That's why we practice for a future title Tuesday. Unfortunately, not yet a title player, but maybe one day I'll get to be. This king now coming in, trying to get the pawns down the board. It's like little Bo Peep. Here comes the wolf, ready to eat. E4, Giri pushing on. Computer calls this level, right, but any false slip, wrong move, and it could switch in an instant. The pawn attacked, of course, defended. Now we get quite a bit of shuffle. Giri could just shuffle around here, make the draw. He's the one with the cards, but he pushes the king forward. He wants to play for more. Look at these pawns marching, so scary. Niemann defending like an absolute wolf. I was going to say lion, but it would make no sense. He wins one pawn, but Giri getting ambitious. Apparently this is a blunder with rook G4, but missed. This one played. Suddenly it's level again. The king steps back in front of the pawns, king e5, more checks, another one, and now if you want to just draw again and shuffle, you come back. But Giri gets ambitious and marches in. Rook e1, now he comes back. Check, goes back again. Rook d1 this time, and there's only one drawing move here. King h7 is the one. This is how the line could go, and the pawn is too advanced here. Sorry, that's not the move I was trying to play. Rook takes, and this is how the line could go. You have to give up the rook. But king h7 missed. We get king f6 instead, and look at the evaluation bar. Poop its pants, because rook takes on d6 played. Can't always keep a straight face. g6 now comes. Rook d1 back. King g7, and the rook is just too powerful here. These poor little sheep getting eaten by the big bad wolf of chess, Mr. Hans Niemann. This is how the game ended. Check and lost on time or resigns, one or the other, but it doesn't matter. Go where you like. These ones getting eaten, and I believe Niemann knows how to do his king and rook checkmate. What a clutch game to play like 45 moves on seconds from Hans Niemann. Material down, finding shots. That was impressive. He wins title Tuesday, as you can see on screen here. No Magnus in play, but you had Hikaru and other top players, right? So impressive result from him. Hope you enjoyed. Smash subscribe if you did. And for another epic game of chess, check out the video on screen. Cheers.